So then we are back with more understandings from the time of the Second Tabernacle services, where we find the Aramaic English translation of the word. This translation comes from the original manuscripts of the prophets of the Israelic lineage. So then we can understand the time of the end. As per Yeshayahu the prophet, we find layers of understanding of the spring feast, the autumn feast, and also the returning of the cities of the Hamashiach laid waste from many centuries. Reading from Yeshayahu the prophet, it's always important understanding the 61st chapter. Regarding then the completion of the spring feast, very important subject, because through the life of the Hamashiach, Ben Yosef mostly, regarding then the completion of the spring feast in a period of time that was given for this particular purpose, there are some teachings of the holy instructions, such as you must not steal, and remaining truthful. These holy instructions reflects mostly where the divinity comes from. Now there are some segments of churches, they do understand, or should understand more promptly, what the subject means. So then the divine has given a few understandings as far as people engaged with stealing and the situation regarding then salvation of the soul. Obviously, those people who are representing the church, or representing groups of people or congregations, it's truly a shame any person in a position of leadership having a record of stealing. And when the church is involved, it gets worse yet, because not only they do not teach properly, they are then in line with the system of simply neglecting the very basic understanding and stability of society. Now then, there are a few teachings from Yeshayahu and also the Mashiach, and these teachings mostly relates with the salvation of the soul and the importance of dealing with a society when the topic is involving resources. Now then, in many cultures, and even in this country, it has changed so much. Stealing in past times, the penalty was death. Now then, leaders, they have absconded themselves, and a lot of them have become licensed pirates, where they steal, they cheat, they lie, yet they preserve themselves before the law with clean records. But these are the worst thieves active in the market. Now then, understandably, not very long ago, it was punishable by prison if a person was caught stealing from taxes. Now the society has gone down so badly that people have elected many kinds of leaders with stealing. Now it's amazing the number of excuses some politicians used to get away with stealing from the government and not giving them what is due. Now then, what kind of a respect can a leader give if a person is hiding the tax records? Now then, because of the lies and cheating ways of so many politicians, it is very much given a few clues as far as what the period of the restoration holds as principles regarding the society, regarding being truthful, and most importantly, if there is any kind of divine link. Understandably, these principles must be obeyed. Now, in Yeshayahu, the 23rd chapter, explains a few understandings as far as the time of the restoration period, not only of tabernacling, but also the restoration of trade as per the principles taught by Abraham. Now then, people always disguise in giving excuses why then this person is doing such actions, why other people are so filthy rich, yet they get elected in positions of authority and they have a real bad record of stealing. And not only this, they become judgmental of other people, as what then the Hamashiach ben Yosef stated, don't be concerned regarding the speck on the eyes of your neighbor if you yourself are not taking care of your own. However, the society requires people in line with the law stating. Now, it's kind of amazing that people that have clean record, yet they are openly stealing, and the police or then the government don't do anything about it. Yet, when they find other people who are then convicted of some sort of a problem, then they are quick to point their fingers. Now, as society has become more and more desensitized regarding our very recent past of a couple hundred years ago. Now, speaking of principles of the scripture who are thousands of years, and those who are involved with the holy instructions and teaching, now what they so name as Republicans are at the moment the worst thieves. Now then, there is a problem with leaders that do not want to organize and give the example. Now they claim of some sort of a divinity, but what they are concerned is a divinity of their very own. They are not part of some sort of divinity from on high that gives the holy instructions and should obey. No, they make up stories as they go along with it, and doing their politics, and money from the government being stolen, deviated, projects that simply they are printing out more money, sending someone else's banking. And it's amazing when then the economy ruins, why then simply the problems can't be resolved. Now then, understandably, a few years ago there was a project regarding the new capital of the United States, and this new capital, it is so big, and obviously the money used is for a government building disguised as a family home. Now then, what kind of country this country has become ever since they were liberated from the power of the English. I'm not saying that they were bad, only saying that the people became desensitized. And there are so many people stealing in a lot of states of this country who are claiming so much of divinity are the worst thieves. There are some states they steal so much from the system they don't even have enough for even the parks. They have to close down parks because they have no money for the maintenance. Now then, the holy instructions in divinity is found mostly on everyday lives, in everyday mundane situations, than watching the skies and thinking that there is a force out there, while their own actions as bad as they are, while excusing themselves for doing wrong, yet they do the same things and they expect another result. Now then, the Hamashiach ben Yosef explained very precisely when he was caught in the midst of a situation and they trying to test him by saying, should then the people pay taxes? And then a coin was brought and he gave his famous answer. Now we do this, we pay taxes properly because the Hamashiach said, or because there is a conscientious fact of a proper maintenance of the country system? Are we doing this because of conscious mind, or because there is somebody there with a sword in our necks? Make sure we are doing the right thing. Now then, there are some people who have no fear because they have so much, and the policing problem of our country sometimes is so bad that these scoundrels politicians They steal, they cheat, and the justice system does nothing regarding it. So truly we don't know what we should believe. If we believe the justice system, they don't bring to court those people who were stealing from the government for so long. Now, people, they get self-righteous at times and try to take situations in their own hands, while they themselves, if they evaluate how many times have they not cheated in their income tax, and they expect some sort of a divine nature to come from the clouds and then fix our economy. And they themselves, they vote for thieves. It's truly an obscure situation, because what the people are wishing, as far as there's some sort of salvation for the economy, and they themselves, they vote for thieves. And the church goes along with it, because what they can say. Now even the Vatican itself is trying to change the scripture in order to make sure they include other types of unique relationships. That's how far down has come the religious system. So then, what do we find in the Holy Instructions in the very exemplary life of the Hamashiach ben Yosef regarding then the salvation of the soul? Our country has a very dark future because the principles of the scripture were neglected. There was a very important portion of the scripture regarding the trade during the period of time where then the Hamashiach was then tested. Now, why were they trying to get the Hamashiach to say against the system? One situation was certain. They wanted to make sure the system then, from the point of view of the Hamashiach, was then cleared. So then, how is it then the salvation of a person who are then speaking so much of being truthful? Now the point is, can these people save their own souls? Why it is so important of maintaining a system clear from thieves? Now, as generations and generations and generations, they come and go, one situation is sure, that the values of were upheld for so long obviously is no longer respected. The Hamashiach ben Yosef, when he was completing the spring feast, he was talking of the Spirit. And he gave many examples of the prophets before him and why they were destroyed. And the reasons why they were destroyed. And in Mattityahu, we find in the Hamashiach explaining a few sections of the prophecies of the time of the restoration period and the coming of the autumn feast. And why was then the Hamashiach ben Yosef involved with kingship? Now, taxation was very important because not only the system was provided with the funding, but they were able to maintain a healthy system while they were teaching the holy instructions. Now, Mattityahu, the 24th chapter, and the Hamashiach went out from the temple and departed, and his disciples, the Shalishim, came near and were showing him the construction of the temple. But he said to them, Behold, don't you observe these? Truly, the Hamashiach was explaining that nothing absolutely shalt be spared. Not one stone shalt be left upon another, but each of them shalt be thrown down. Now then, what is the whole situation regarding this particular chapter? Why were they so focused in understanding the autumn feast while they want to make a kingdom of their own? So then the Hamashiach, very wisely, he was make sure people were holding truth to the reality where they were coming from. Now then, they were paying taxes. Sometimes the taxes were abusive. But the taxation system of the time were so because they did not obey what the instructions were explaining. Now what they wanted was the Hamashiach ben Yosef and what he was doing and the influence of the Spirit of refurbishing the kingdom that Yadijah or then Solomon had built many centuries ago. But during this period of time, the Hamashiach simply said that this kind of kingdom that the people were wishing for, he was not part of it. Firstly, he explained this way because he knew the people were stealing. Second, not only they were stealing, but they were doing trade near the temple, where then sin became a portion of trade. So then there was money from trade, animals, birds. Then this money was given, some of them to some people, some of them to other people. Bribes were given. So then, why was it that the Hamashiach was explaining the person that it was printed on a coin? Why didn't Hamashiach mention regarding the taxation of his own country? But the point of the whole situation is, when the people steal, they are not divine examples. Blackbeard, he was a very famous, known pirate. Yet he was a member of a distant church. So it's amazing when a people has such influence and money, and it's amazing how they think they can buy their way into heaven. But the Hamashiach was very categorical in what he said. And be aware, do not let any man deceive you. So then, what is then given on our instructions as far as the way they should treat each other, they should treat the divine, and then treating the system. These are an everyday living, more than wishing for some sort of a change coming from heaven while then doing the same things every day, known as insanity. So then, the system coming from Asia is truly a computerized system where then transactions are maintained. So then a record of decent transactions, not people with clean records, yet they are thieves from behind, because there is no divinity in these people whatsoever. Then this system is what then Yeshayahu is explaining in the 23rd chapter, and the reforms going on in a worldwide system coming from the East, because the lack of direction on the West is so bad, and the justice system so weak, and in fact they are part of it. And when every time there is a proper understanding of the scripture, the more these holy instructions they shine. Because the more the people get involved with the sin, cheating, stealing, the more with the scripture, when they get properly taught, then they shine even further. So then, next time we're going to evaluate Yeshayahu and what he taught regarding then the merchants of the earth. And why then the merchants are so prominent, and why then governments are not even mentioned in Revelation. So please stay tuned, much more coming up.